Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when and where you're viewing this. My name is Mike. I'm the Crypto Liberal. Hey, if you get any value out of this video, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when I'm posting new videos. And or if you're feeling pity or generous or something kind, just give me a like, give me a subscribe. So, not good today, right? Crypto got hit. Um, Bitcoin harder than most, or at least the ones that we're going to look at. And the stock market got hit, so it's not good, right? So we kind of talked about that yesterday, how this week was shaping up to be the exact reverse of last week. And I told you, last week on Tuesday, stock market went up a big chunk, and I told you Tuesday night last week that we'll look for Wednesday to kind of go sideways, maybe down a little bit, and if that happens, Thursday and Friday would be good. Well, that's exactly what happened. And then this week, right? Monday and Tuesday we were going down. So and then after yesterday when we kind of went flat and a little bit up maybe, in the stock market, I said look for Thursday and Friday to get hammered, and that's exactly what happened today. Right, we got hammered on the stock market. I mean, let's look at it real quick. It's kind of relative. Hammered. It wasn't horrible, but down 1.3, down almost 1% in the S&P and the Dow, Nasdaq 1.3. And the one glimmer of hope is the DXY, which is down 0.3% today. It's a very, very small glimmer of hope. So again, keep an eye open for those as they open. The futures open in a few hours here. See if the DXY keeps going down. See if the stock market futures open down, which I anticipate they will. Especially in front of a long weekend. Trading won't be going on Monday next week for the stock market because it's July 4th. Happy July 4th to all my American viewers. So in advance of a long weekend, I do not think tomorrow's going to be pretty on the stock market. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of what I am anticipating at this point. Um, so let's what I wanted to focus this today on, and give me a like, give me a subscribe if you appreciate this, but I think alt season is about here. And alt season can take a couple different forms. That's alt season is all about stacking or outperforming Bitcoin, right? So if everything's crashing, you can still have alt season if your alts are outperforming Bitcoin by 10, 20%. It's possible. And you could have alt season if everything's going up, if the alts are just going crazy and Bitcoin just slowly rising. So, but we're going to go over like 4 charts today. All of them bullish versus Bitcoin. All of them bouncing off support versus Bitcoin. All of them outperforming Bitcoin. And is it coincidence or is it alt season? And I don't think just a full blown alt season is going to occur because right now at this point, because the market we're going down and they're going to lose dollar value probably because I think Bitcoin's going to keep going down. So the alts are going to also lose dollar value, but I still think they're going to outperform Bitcoin. And when it does reverse, watch out because that's when the explosive returns are going to happen. That's when alt seasons really start flying. So let's examine those alt. Well, let's start with Bitcoin, right? Because it is the Mac Daddy, and it's not looking good to me. So we still have this W in here, right? I mean, it's still possible this W happens if today's candle, right? Right now we're at, what are we at? 18.9 essentially. If we can finish higher than these candles, the bodies of these candles back here from June 18th, where it closed on June 18th and opened on June 19th. If today's body of today's candle can finish higher than that, it's possible we have a W and we can reverse the upside and get some positive momentum. Possible. I really don't anticipate that happening. I anticipate us going to revisit the 17.5 level, this, and lower, 16, 15, 14, possibly. And really, let's look at this chart from a long-term perspective. And these 2 descending channels that I think we've been in for 18, 20 months. I mean, they played out so perfectly. It's so beautiful. So, I mean, look at this. So going back to when we first hit them in January of 2021, right? That lower red line served as resistance perfectly. And then we finally surpassed it, got up to the middle line. There was a little bit of resistance there you can't see on this zoomed in or zoomed out chart. But eventually we got up there. We got some resistance back in March of 2021, and then we went up to the upper channel. Perfect resistance there in April of 21, right? Got rejected, came down and used the middle channel, the middle line, as support perfectly. And then, we broke below it. And then look at this. We spent 3 months on this lower red line, this lower channel, perfectly acting as support. Beautiful, beautiful support. And we finally broke above it, or, bounced off of it significantly, went up to the middle line, got rejected initially, and then surpassed it, came back down and used it as support perfectly, right? And then we were off to our new all-time highs. After we hit the all-time highs, we came down to that upper channel, the upper line, bounced off it as support, and then we eventually broke through and went down again to the middle support line. Acted as support perfectly, acted as support for a whole month here, right? And then finally broke below. So to me, worst case scenario is we come down and test this lower red line again, which acted as perfectly as resistance back here, perfectly as support down here. And if we were to do that like right now, that level is like at 8,000. Now, do I think we're going down to 8,000? No, not really. But to me, that's the worst case scenario right now, is we revisit that lower channel support line. And so it's possible. It's possible. And if remembering back to when I first started this channel, and I was believing that middle support line was going to hold for an entire month. I was right? I said the most likely scenario is we don't go down to 20,000 to me. And I was wrong, obviously. But I said the second most likely scenario is we go down to 20,000, hang out for a few days, few weeks, which is exactly what we've done pretty much. We've hung out 21,000 for a few weeks now. And then we just kill everybody that bought in there because they thought they were bright and we were going to go to 69,000 after we hit those levels. Well, that's what's starting to happen, right? That second most likely scenario is starting to happen. We've been hanging out at 20, 21, 22,000, and now we're starting to break down again. And to me, I think that's what's most likely to happen, is we're going to visit 17,000, 16,000, 15,000, and possibly lower. And again, I'm not going to get excited about Bitcoin until we get back above that support line, right? Perfect support for over a month there that I didn't think was going to break, but did. I'm not going to get excited about Bitcoin until we get back to that support line, or now resistance line. It's going to be strong resistance. Get above it and hold it. And right now, it's about $26,000, and it's going down every day. But that's quite a leap to get up to $26,000 right now. It's not going to happen, at least in the next few days. So even if that W plays out, there's resistance before we even get there. And when we do get up to that level, and we will again someday, I don't know when, someday, when we do get to this red line, this middle red line in our descending channels, we're going to get rejected, I think. We're going to get rejected hard. And hopefully it only lasts a week. Hopefully it only lasts, less than a month. And then we get past it, and then we can start talking about, moving up to 30, 40, 50,000. But not until then, not until we get above that red resistance line and hold it and even test it. Get above it, go up, maybe $5,000, $6,000, and then come back down and test it. Make sure it's going to hold its support. That's what I'm looking for. That's when I will get excited about Bitcoin again. But that's not why we're here, right? We're here to stack sats versus by putting our money into alts. That's what I'm doing, right? Not financial advice. You need to make your own financial decisions based on your own financial situation. But since I moved out of Bitcoin and into alts, I'm up on every single coin versus Bitcoin. Just the way it works. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So, I can stack sats without putting new money in. Even though I do, I dollar cost average every Friday into Cardano essentially. And without trading leverage, without putting my whole portfolio in jeopardy of getting liquidated, I can still stack sats. And that's what we're doing. Ever since I made a special video one night, came out and said, hey, I'm moving almost all of my Bitcoin into Cardano mostly, but also Ethereum. and we're up on both since. So we're going to talk about maybe alt season is starting, and we're going to look at charts. So we're going to start with that ADA chart. So for those of you new to the channel, I look at the ADA BTC chart when I'm talking about moving coins from Bitcoin into, or money from Bitcoin into other alts, right? So right here, and I look at the weekly chart. So these are long-term trends I'm looking at. Long-term trends. And again, I told you back here, you know, when we were about 0.000019 Bitcoin, 1ADA.000019 Bitcoin. And right now we're at 0.00002363 Bitcoin. It's like over a 20% return in just a few weeks. And again, I'm waiting for 0.00006 Bitcoin, turning one Bitcoin into three, stacking sats, stacking 3 times the sats. And there's resistance levels, right? These blue lines here, there's resistance levels on the way up. We'll talk about them as we move up. So, you know, if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when I might be moving some ADA back into Bitcoin. I won't do it at that first resistance line because that's just not enough of a return for me. But maybe the upper one, but we'll talk about that. So make sure you're subscribed because then you'll know exactly what I'm doing. And again, not financial advice, but just so you're aware of what I'm doing and what I'm I'm trying to prove my contentions, my hypothesis. I'm trying to prove that ADA is the best investment for your new money right now or existing money if you're moving it out of Bitcoin. So you know, that's ADA. It's bullish, right? That is bullish versus Bitcoin. Now remember this, right? We broke through this resistance level. I told you about this chart right here, the week of May 30th. We broke through that resistance line, that downsloping upper red line. We settled on it the next week, right? We wicked down to it 2 weeks ago. And look at that. It bounced right off it, and we had a huge green candle. We had a little red week last week. We're putting in a little green week this week. So remember this downward sloping, this descending wedge, how perfectly it played out, right? And I told you at the exact bottom, basically the exact bottom when I was moving out. So it worked out perfectly. It worked out perfectly so far. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe, because I told you at the exact bottom. Now, I didn't tell you 3 weeks prior when we still had some downward momentum. I told you at the exact bottom that's what I was doing. So that one's worked out perfectly. Now let's look at another one. Not as great of a return so far, but I told you about it a few weeks later. But let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, I told you at the exact bottom again, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. This could all blow up on my face in the next few days, but so far it's worked out perfectly. So look at this. Again, looking at the 1 week chart, I told you about this support line way back here, like 18 months ago. And look at that. Look what's happened. I told you about this chart right here when one Ethereum was 0.052 Bitcoin. Right at the bottom, the week of June 6th, I told you right there that when we hit that support line that it was going to hold. What happened next week? We wicked down below it. We were losing our trade for a little bit, but we finished green. Last week, nice green, bounced right off of that support line. I mean, could we hit that support line any better? Any better? There's no way. We wicked right down to it, bounced off, had a nice green week. And what happened today? Look at that. I mean, could I have called that support line any better? Wicked down to the exact dollar, right? The exact decimal point. Wicked down to it exactly today. Now, again, I could be wrong. This could all blow up in my face tomorrow. But so far, that support line is holding perfectly. And I told you at the exact bottom of the chart that I was moving from Bitcoin into Ethereum. And it's worked out perfectly. Now, our return there is only a few percent at this point because we're having a pretty good red week this week. But you know what? If that support line holds all the way up on this ascending triangle, all the way up until we get to this upper blue line, I'll be happy, because what does that mean? That's a 50% return against Bitcoin. That means I could turn one Bitcoin, if you move one Bitcoin into Ethereum, when I brought it to this channel's attention, you could take one Bitcoin and turn it 1.5, 2 Bitcoin into 3, just by simply moving Bitcoin into Ethereum. Yeah, it's only up a couple percent right now, but as long as that support line holds, it's looking beautiful. That's two for two, right? 2 for 2 alt charts that are bullish. How about a third? You want a third? I brought this one to the channel just a few days ago. And look how bullish this one looks. So it's the Matic, Polygon, whoops, Matic. And that's Polygon versus Bitcoin. And again, I'm looking at the Coinbase chart. And again, I'm looking at the weekly chart. So we gotta wait for my lines to pop up here. But this is a descending channel, right? Going back quite a ways, you know, like 10 months, I think it is, 10, 11 months. But last week we broke above it. And I said, you know, you might wanna wait this week before you think about putting any money into Matic and see if this resistance line, this upper red resistance line holds its support. Well, what happened today? Look at that. We wicked right down to it and bounced off. That's holding us support so far. Now, I wouldn't get too excited until the weekly close, which is still 3 days away, right? But that resistance line I told you about a few days ago that we broke last week held as support today. It held perfectly. It's beautiful. It's looking beautiful. Now, I'm not going to put any money into Matic, or Polygon, because I already have exposure to Ethereum, enough exposure in my opinion to Ethereum, and so I don't want to. Putting it into Polygon seems duplicitous to me, or duplicative to me, because if Ethereum were to blow up, Polygon's probably going to blow up, since it's built on Ethereum. So I'm not going to move into Matic, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, right? It's a 3 for 3 alt charts that are looking bullish against Bitcoin. Is alt season here? Maybe. But how about a fourth? How about a fourth? Not done yet. So how about polka dot versus Bitcoin? Again, whoops, versus Bitcoin. Again, we're looking at the Coinbase chart. And we've got to wait for my lines to pop up, my beautiful lines. Now this is going to look like the ADA chart, a descending wedge, right? A descending wedge. Now 2 weeks ago, we hit that upper red line resistance and closed right below it. Last week, we closed right on top of it, right? Now that resistance all of a sudden looks like support. And I told you, I probably will go into a dot, but I'm waiting for the weekly close. And what am I waiting for on the weekly close? I'm waiting to see if that resistance line that we broke last week holds as support. Well, what happened today? Whoa, what happened today? Look at this. We wicked down to that support line. Our old resistance line, now support. Look at that. It bounced off of it. It hit it perfectly. I drew this line days ago. I mean, like a week ago, I drew this line. And look at it. It held perfectly. I can't make it up. You can't make it up. Now, again, I'm going to wait until the weekly close because I'm just a little more leery about DOT than I am when I went into ADA and Ethereum. Not that it's not a great project. I think it is. And I don't have really any exposure to that type of protocol. So I want to get into DOT, but I'm going to wait until the weekly close. I'm going to make sure that weekly candle, this last one, make sure it does not close below that resistance now turns support line, because to me, there's a lot of room left in this wedge. I mean, I would not be surprised if we came back down and got back into the wedge. There's a lot of room before we get to the apex, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to hold. And if it holds this week, I might move a little bit in, a little bit of I'll probably move the rest of my Bitcoin into DOT. And it still will be less than the exposure I have to ADA, a lot less than I have to ADA and to Ethereum. So that's my plan for DOT. But that's 4 for 4. 4 for 4 coins, protocols, cryptos, alts that are looking bullish versus Bitcoin. Is alt season here? Now, like I said, alt season can happen if Bitcoin crashes to 10,000, right? And those 4 alts outperform, meaning they hold those 4 support lines that we just talked about. And that means, right, we're stacking sats versus Bitcoin. But a reversal is coming. It might not happen for a year. I don't know. But when that reversal comes, if those are still acting bullish versus Bitcoin, they're going to take off. And alt season will really kick off at that point. So, my whole goal, really, since I've been talking on this channel, is to prove to you, 8 weeks I started this channel. I for 8 weeks, I've been telling you ADA is going to outperform Ethereum and Bitcoin by the end of the year, a year from now, 5 years from now. And I told you Ethereum would outperform Bitcoin by those same time frames. And my goal on this channel from day one was to set out to prove it to you, to put it on video, to put it in writing. Follow me on Twitter. I put it in writing there at crypto_liberal. But look at this. Look at this. So every week we put $100 into Bitcoin, ADA, and Ethereum. And we've been doing it for 8 weeks. So we put $800 into all of them. Well, look at today. ADA is outperforming Bitcoin by 2.2% just today alone. And it's crushing Bitcoin since I started it. I don't even need till the end of the year. And yeah, granted, Ethereum is lagging, but I didn't say Ethereum would outperform Bitcoin by, end of June, but by the end of the year. And I still think that will happen. If that support line holds that we just talked about in Ethereum, in that ascending triangle, 50% return versus Bitcoin. And I can see that happening by the end of the year. By the end of the year, I could see a 50% return versus Bitcoin on Ethereum. We'll see. Now, again, this is not financial advice. I could be just completely wrong by tomorrow. I mean, maybe Bitcoin takes off by $10,000 and alts just kind of sit there. I could be wrong by tomorrow. Or, maybe alts start crashing a lot harder than Bitcoin. Possible. I could be wrong. So, don't, do your own research. But I'm just documenting what I'm doing, and so far it's working. I'm 2 for 2. Really, and if you count the other charts that I pointed out are looking bullish versus Bitcoin, and they haven't been violated yet, that's 4 for 4. So if you appreciate that, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Alt season is coming. I don't know if it really kicks off, next week, next month, 6 months from now, but there's 4 charts right there that I gave you that are bullish versus Bitcoin. Not all alts are bullish versus Bitcoin. There's a couple that I haven't talked about that I'm not that excited about, that I'm interested in investing in, but I'm waiting. And again, I bring these to you at the exact opportune moment. And I brought 4 to you so far that are playing out perfectly since I brought them to you. And I'll bring those other ones that I'm watching at the exact opportune moment. I don't want to bring them to you early because I don't want people running off and investing in something, based on something I might have said. And you shouldn't do that anyway, right? But my goal here is to bring it to you at the exact opportune moment and prove it to you by putting it in writing, put it in video, and documenting my hypothesis and proving that it works out in the end, right? That's my whole goal here. So that's it. I hope you're getting some value out of these videos. If you are, give me a like, give me a subscribe. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening. Keep your nose to the grindstone because, again, I'll say it again, this is the best place to have your money. If you're putting new money to work, stock market sucks, crypto sucks, but in the long run, this, in my opinion, is the best place to have your money because we are going to make some life-changing gains, and we're going to do it with ADA, Ethereum, DOT, and maybe some others that we'll talk about in the future. So that's it. Hope you have a great night. My name is Mike. I'm the Crypto Liberal. We'll chat more tomorrow. Good night.